This video is going to go over the purple button here. Previous videos went over the green button for various greetings, saying hello in different languages. The blue button went over like a mini conversation, possible responses. And Demo 3 is donations and categories. We're going to talk about donations from men, donations from women, and donations from groups of both men and women together. So the 36.html, I have hidden what's in the left and what's in the middle because that pertains to the green button and paragraph elements and the blue button and elements, and I don't need to deal with that. Right now, only thing I need to deal with is the right 3 tag, the button with the ID of P on click equals 3, which means it's going to call the function with a name of 3, and then P with an ID of demo 3, style equals display none, and the output for demo 3 is going to go inside these P tags. And currently, because the display is none, you cannot see that P element. Like here you can see the green P elements in the background. You cannot see this until we click on the button and call the function, and the function will make this visible. So the whole page basically just pertaining to the purple button, HTML opening closing tag. There's the open and closing head tags. Inside the head tag, we've got a link for the shortcut icon, which is the smiley face in the browser tab. The title tags, which gives us the name of the title, Demo 36. Functions passing them data. A link to an external style sheet, which I'm not going to go over, but that basically gives us the colors of these various elements. And an external script that gives us the functions, and I will go over that, 36.js for JavaScript. End of the head, here's the body, here's a wrapper tag. The wrapper tag happens to be styled with this tan background and black border. Again, the left 3 contains the green information, the middle 3 contains the blue information. All I care about is the right 3. And I already went over the button and the paragraph elements. So let's go on ahead and look at our JavaScript. 36.js, I've hidden these functions as well because they pertain to the green button or the blue button. Function greet user is an external function that both the green button and the blue button utilized because function 1 called greet user, and function 1 dealt with the green button, function 2 dealt with the blue button, function 2 also called greet user. So this external function was used for both buttons here. But we are dealing with the purple button, and it has its own external function. Before we get to function 3, we're going to talk about this function called show number. And show number, this function makes the invisible purple element visible and displays data inside of it, and it is called inside of function 3. So here on line 109, let me bring this up, we have function show number with a parameter of z. The first thing that it does in line 110, document.getElementById demo3.style.display equals block. That takes that invisible element from right here, PID demo3 style equals display none. It changes display none to display block so that will be visible at that point. And in line 111, document.getElementById demo3.enter HTML equals z. Whatever the value of z is further down in this code, when we call show number, whatever we put in the parentheses down here when we call it, that information, that value is going to be shown, it's going to display in that element, that paragraph element that we're going to make visible. So that's the only two things that show number does. It makes the paragraph visible, and it puts the argument of this function in that paragraph element. All right, so moving on, we get to line 116, function 3. We are going to create a bunch of variables here. And we're going to start off with these 4. These are variables for specific messages. Var male equals, and the text will say his donation is. Var female equals her donation is. Var group equals group donation is. And var message equals, and it's an empty set of double quotes because it's empty right now. So those are variables that hold messages or blank. Here we have variables for the numbers of donations made from men, women, or a group of both. So we have 3 categories, men, women, or group. And we have counters for each of those. So var men donation count equals 0, var women donation count equals 0, and var group donation count equals 0. Those are three counters that start off at 0, and the code will increment them as needed. The next thing we have are variables for the amount inputs, depending on if the donation was made by male, female, or a group of both. So again, we're dealing with males, females, and groups, and this is going to put how much money they donated. So var input number M equals 0. That's for the male contribution, a single male contribution. Var input number F equals 0. So that is for a single female contribution. And var input number G, that's for a single group contribution. So if the first male contributed $50, the value of 50 would be in that variable. If the first female contributed $100, then the value for input number F would be 100. And if the first group donated $1,000, then the value for input number G would be 1,000. And each time we go through the loop, this value is going to get put into this grand value. So each time a different male, a different female, or a different group adds a different amount, it's going to get tallied on to this grand men, grand women, or grand group. So these are the variables for the grand totals of donations made by men, women, or a group. And again, they all start off at 0, and they change as we go through the code. At this point, we're at the for loop, line 153. For var I equals 0, I less than 10, I plus plus. So we're going to do this 10 times. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then it's going to jump out of the loop because 9 is less than 10, that'll work. But when I becomes 10, 10 is not less than 10, that's false. So at that point, it jumps out of the loop and doesn't do it anymore. Line 156, we're going to get a prompt box. The prompt box is going to say type M for male, F for female, or G for group. And whatever the user types in, whether it's MF or G, that value is going to go into this variable called gender. So var gender equals prompt type M for male, F for female, or G for group. Then we're going to ask if conditions based on what they typed, M, F, or G. If gender equals M, we're going to do all this. If it's not, then we're going to skip all that. If gender equals F, we're going to do all this. If it's not, we're going to skip all of that. If gender is G, then we're going to follow all of this. And then we're here at 213, we're at the end of the loop. So the first time it goes through, it's going to check the condition of which one of the categories it's satisfying. Then it's going to jump back up here to the 4 again. I is going to be changed from 0 to 1. It's going to say, is 1 less than 10? That's true. So then it's going to do it all over again. It's going to do everything all over again. So if we type in M for male, the variable message is going to be set equal. It's going to be assigned. It's got a single equal sign. It's going to be assigned to whatever the value of male is. And if you go back up here to male, when I created male, the value of male is the string of words that says his donation is. So now this variable message is going to have the value of the string his donation is. So you see message here and you see message here. Instead of the output being MSG, it's going to be the string his donation is. Line 162, we're going to get another prompt box giving the user the direction, type a number. And whatever number they type in there is going to go inside input number M variable. But it's going to be a string value, and we are inevitably going to want to do some addition on this variable. So we have to change that string data type to an integer in order to do math. And this is how you do that. The value of input number M is going to have parse int in front of it, and then input number M is going to be in parentheses. That's going to change that string into an integer and then stick it right back into the variable, so that next time we use input number N, we're going to be using an integer and not a string. In line 167, we're going to actually call that outside function, show number, and instead of a z, this is the argument. The argument's going to be the value of message, which if it's M, it's going to be his donation is, plus input number, whatever number the user typed in. So if the male donated $500, then the output here is going to be his donation is $500. In line 171, we're going to increment the male donor counter. So men donation count plus equals 1. This is the shortcut. It means men donation count equals men donation count plus 1. And if it starts off at 0, then 0 equals 0 plus 1. 0 plus 1 equals 1. So then it goes right back into that variable. So the plus equals is a shortcut way to do that. Line 174, we're going to do the grand tally of donations so that each time we go through the loop, if we have another male donor or donation, it's going to keep adding all the different donations, whether it's $100, $1, $1,000, whatever, and it's going to put it in this variable called grand men. And it's done the same way that we incremented this by 1. This time we're going to increment grand men by whatever the value of input number is at the time. And if gender is F, it's doing the same thing. It's changing the message to the value of female. It's assigning the value of message to the value of female. It is prompting the user to type a number. This time it's going to put it in input number F because we're dealing with a female. Input number F equals parse int input number F. So here we're changing the string into an integer. Shown number, we're calling that outer function. Her donation is, and then whatever the number is, $1,000, $25, whatever. Here we're going to increment women donation count plus equals 1. So each time a woman donates, that number is going to go from 0 to 1 to 2 and so on and so forth as we go through the loops. And then we're going to increment the grand tally of the donations. So grand women plus equals input number F. So if the first woman donates $25, 25 goes into here. If the second woman donates 100, that gets tacked on to the 25. So grand women at the second time will have a total of 125. Again, if the gender is G, same thing. Message equals group. Input number G equals prompt type a number. Input number G equals parse int. Input number G. Show number, MSG plus input number G. So this message will be that the group donation is plus however much they donated. We're going to increment the count of the group donations. I did a copy and paste here. And then we're going to increment the count up by 1, and we're going to tally up however many group donations and put that in the variable called grand group. And here's the end of the loop. It's just going to keep on going until it gets its 10 iterations. When it's finished with its 10 iterations, we're going to get an alert box. Total donations plus the value of group donation count. Group donations grand total equals plus whatever the value of grand group is. Men donation count, however many male donations we had, plus male donations grand total equals, plus whatever the value of grand men is. Women donation count, however many female donations that we got. Female donations grand total equals, and then whatever the value of grand women is. Plus I, which will be from the last 10 donations. That'll be one alert box after the whole for loop is over. And then when you hit the OK on that alert box, it's going to actually pop up another alert box, which is going to tell us the same thing, just for review. Total contributions by source. The value of men donation count, men, and how much all the men donated. From women donation count, from how many women, how the grand amount from women, and from how many group donations were there, group, plus the total value of the group donations. So after those two alert boxes, the last line of code here says document element by id demo3.style.display equals none. So what you were able to see here momentarily while the code was progressing, before the end of the entire function is finished, it will disappear again. And then at that point it'll look just like it looks now, and you can click the demo 3 and start the whole ball all over again, if that's what you choose to do. So I went through the entire code top to bottom. Let's run it. Type M for male, F for female, or G for group. I'm going to go over this really fast. I'm going to hit M and enter. 100, enter. F, enter. 200, enter. G, enter. 500, enter. M, enter. 10. F, enter. 10. G, enter. 10. And I'm just going to keep going until it stops. Okay. Finally, when this pops up, you know that you did the whole loop until there were no more loops to do. And this is the first alert box that you're looking at. The word, you got an asterisk, total donations, go down a couple of spaces. Group donation count in this case was 4. And the grand total, the grand group, was 6,510. The number of men donation count that I did was 3. And the value of grand men was 233. The women donation count, I did 3 female donations. And based on what I typed in, the value of grand women amounted to 610. And then this very last statement from the last plus I, the value of I, from the last 10 donations. Now when I click the OK button here, this alert box will pop up. So I click OK. Total of contributions by source. Total of contributions by source. These 2 \n's means going down 2 lines, and then you'll see the word from men donation count, from 3 men plus grand men, 233. So from 3 men, the total donation was 233. From 3 women, the total donation was 610. And from 4 groups, the total donation was 6,510. When I click this OK button, line 249 will run, which will make this group donation is $5,000. We'll make that disappear. So I click this, that all disappears, and now you can run it all over again if you so choose.